Hello, beautiful Libra. Let me ask you something right away. What if the reason you're here, watching this very video, isn't just a coincidence, but a divine invitation? An invisible thread pulling you toward your own inner alignment, toward a truth you've been quietly waiting for? Welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot. This is your in-depth horoscope reading for May 22nd to May 25th. And I'll be honest, this isn't your average forecast. This is a spiritual deep dive into the energies currently surrounding you, and more importantly, the energies rising within you. Libra, something sacred is unfolding right now, and you are being called to step back into balance, not just externally, but deep within your soul. You're not here by accident. You didn't just stumble upon this reading on a random afternoon or during a scroll session. No, this moment has been quietly orchestrated by the universe, perhaps even by the prayers you whispered when no one else was listening. The stars are aligning to remind you, it's time to restore the harmony between your mind and your heart, between what you give and what you truly need to receive. Right now, you are standing at an energetic threshold. There's a rebirth coming for you, Libra. But not the kind that feels loud or dramatic. No, this one is quiet, graceful, and deeply personal. It's happening inside the places that once felt chaotic or conflicted. You are being gently called back home, to yourself. And here's what I know for sure, God does not ask you to shrink in order to please others. He does not call you to keep the peace by sacrificing your own inner truth. In fact, He designed you to be a vessel of divine beauty, of discernment, and of powerful presence. The harmony you bring into the world begins the moment you dare to honor what's out of balance inside you. Let me take just a moment to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. Every like, every comment, and every beautiful soul who chooses to subscribe helps this channel grow into a spiritual family, a safe space for deep healing and realignment. Your support is what makes it possible to bring messages like this forward. And believe me, Libra, today's message is one you don't want to miss. So I invite you to stay with me all the way through, because what the universe is about to reveal might just shift something in you forever. We'll talk about the subtle imbalances you've been sensing, the emotions you've quietly ignored, and the beautiful new chapter waiting just ahead. You'll understand what this moment is truly about, and why your presence here today is not random, but divine. Tell me, Libra, have you been seeing the number 2, or maybe 222? A repeated name? A sign that keeps popping up like a gentle whisper from beyond? If so, don't brush it off. Comment below and share what's been showing up. The universe often speaks in symbols, and when you name them, you activate them. Let's begin. Open your heart, quiet your mind, and allow the guidance to unfold. There are times when silence feels safer than truth, especially for someone like you, Libra, someone born under the sign of peace, harmony, and deep emotional awareness. But as the energy of this week unfolds, you may find yourself standing face to face with an emotion that has long been shelved: disappointment. Maybe it's tied to a friendship where you always gave more than you received. Maybe it's the ache of not being heard in a conversation you never dared to start. Or perhaps, it's the quiet sorrow of constantly choosing to smile when your heart needed to cry. The Three of Swords paired with the Eight of Cups isn't here to punish or shame you, it's here to liberate you. It reveals that what once wounded you is now showing you the way forward. You see, Libra, emotional pain isn't meant to define who you are. It's a teacher, not a sentence. And in your case, it's teaching you about boundaries, about worth, and about the unseen cost of emotional suppression. Yes, you are a natural diplomat, a lover of fairness and beauty, but balance doesn't mean making yourself small to keep the scales even. True harmony begins when you include yourself in the peace you seek to protect. Walking away from something that hurts isn't failure, it's self-respect. And this week, that's what the universe is gently calling you toward. Imagine, just for a moment, standing in front of a mirror, not to adjust how you look, but to check in with your soul. What if you placed your hand over your heart and asked, what am I still holding on to that no longer serves me? This isn't about blaming others. It's about choosing to no longer carry what was never yours to begin with. You may have kept quiet to protect the relationship, but now you must speak up to protect yourself. You're not being selfish. You're being honest. And honesty is the first step toward healing. From a psychological and energetic perspective, suppressed emotions create internal tension. They linger in the body, in the throat, in the chest, in the solar plexus, waiting for you to acknowledge them. Healing begins the moment you name the emotion and give it space to breathe. That's why journaling is a powerful practice right now. Try writing down the words you never had the chance to say. Not to send them, but to release them. You'll be surprised at how much lighter you feel. This act alone can transform a wound into wisdom. And let's not forget, you were never meant to carry this alone. Even in scripture, the message is clear: your body, your heart, your very essence, is precious. You are not asked to endure for the sake of appearances. You are invited to live fully, to speak truthfully, and to walk away from what no longer honors your value. God did not design you to be invisible in your own story. So if you've been wondering whether it's okay to put yourself first, this is your confirmation. You are not here to keep everyone else comfortable while you quietly unravel inside. You're here to learn what love feels like when it includes you. And maybe today is the day you begin by simply saying what you've been holding in for far too long. Your healing begins with a single, honest question. Ask it. Write it. Whisper it if you must. But whatever you do, don't ignore the whisper of your own heart. It's not a weakness, it's your compass home. It's not always loud, the feeling of being stuck. Sometimes, it comes as hesitation, a soft ache in your chest when you think about making a choice that doesn't please everyone. It shows up in the long pauses before you respond to a message, the second guessing of your own needs, or that sinking sensation when you smile and nod, even though something inside you whispers, "This doesn't feel right." For Libra, the Eight of Swords doesn't manifest as chaos, it often shows up as politeness. A desire to keep the peace. But the longer you avoid conflict on the outside, the more the battle within grows. Your astrological blueprint is ruled by Venus, planet of love, balance, and beauty. This makes you gifted at harmony, yes, but also vulnerable to internalizing tension in order to maintain that harmony. But let me remind you of something sacred. Inner peace is not a reward you earn by pleasing others. It is your divine right. And true peace often comes when you stop needing to explain your value, your feelings, or your boundaries. Freedom, for you, may not look like shouting "no" from a mountaintop. it may look like choosing silence over justification, stillness over performance, trust over overthinking. The Eight of Swords in tarot often reflects a mental prison, a space where our own beliefs and fears keep us confined. And the truth is, you have the key in your pocket. You've always had it. But like many born under your sign, you sometimes wait for permission to choose yourself, to disappoint others if it means being honest, to walk away from a situation that no longer respects your inner balance. The message this week is simple but powerful. You don't have to prove that your peace matters. You just have to protect it. In modern self-help psychology, there's a practice known as cognitive unbinding, gently noticing where our thoughts are looping in fear or doubt, and redirecting them with compassion. You can begin this process right now by writing down 3 things that give you a sense of relief. Not excitement, not adrenaline, relief. This is a vibrational clue. The law of attraction teaches that what brings you calm, brings you clarity. And clarity is what magnetizes alignment. Now, if we look to numerology, the number 2, a sacred number for Libra, reminds us of partnership. But not just romantic or social ones. It reminds us of the most foundational partnership, the one between your higher wisdom and your human self. You are not just one half of someone else's story. You are the whole of your own. The moment you stop needing outside consensus for your inner truth is the moment you remember, you don't need a mirror to know that you exist. And in the quiet teachings of the divine, there's a lesson that returns again and again. Clarity does not always come before courage. Sometimes, we must step away from what we don't want in order to truly see what we do. Sometimes, the fog only lifts after we begin walking. That's faith, not blind optimism, but the inner knowing that your path was never meant to trap you. It was meant to shape you. And yes, you are allowed to choose differently now. So today, if there's a decision pressing against your spirit, if you feel caught between should and must, between pleasing and peace, take a breath. You're not stuck. You're standing at the edge of a quiet revolution, the kind that begins when a Libra finally realizes, I don't need to be understood to be at peace. I just need to understand myself, and be brave enough to act on it. Sometimes we think of rebirth as this grand, sweeping restart, like throwing everything out and starting again from scratch. But in truth, rebirth often comes softly. It arrives not when you force your way forward, but when you finally shift how you see. It's not about changing the world outside you, Libra. It's about changing how you choose to see yourself in it. The Judgment card alongside the Ace of Pentacles is a cosmic signal. You're not broken. You're being realigned. And your next chapter doesn't require you to reinvent yourself. It simply invites you to release the old lens through which you've been judging your worth, your timing, or your path. You may be feeling the subtle nudge to do things differently this week, not because the old version of you failed, but because the new version of you has outgrown the cage of perfection. For a sign like Libra, it's easy to get caught in the loop of what should have been, what you could have done, or how you wish you had handled something. But if you keep replaying the past, you miss the invitation that's here now. And the invitation is this: to see your story through a lens of growth, not guilt. There's something beautiful in recognizing that your past choices were made with the awareness you had at the time. That isn't weakness, that's being human. And God doesn't require flawless decisions to bless you. What He values is the softness in your heart, your willingness to try again, and your courage to see yourself not through the eyes of shame, but through the lens of grace. This is where rebirth truly begins, not in dramatic external shifts, but in the gentle return to self-compassion. Energy-wise, this moment is fertile. The Ace of Pentacles is one of the most grounding cards in the deck, and when it shows up with judgment, it tells a powerful story. When you stop judging yourself for the path you've taken, a tangible opportunity appears. This may be a new job offer, a creative project, or even a lifestyle shift you've been quietly considering. But it won't reveal itself if you're still punishing yourself for not seeing it sooner. The universe is generous with those who are kind to themselves. Practically speaking, this is a great time to reflect that inner shift into your external environment. Consider refreshing your space, rearranging furniture, adding soft light, or lighting a candle with intention. Sometimes we don't need a new life, we just need to see the beauty in the one we have, and honor it by treating our space as sacred. Energy flows where attention goes, so even the smallest act of care can become a ritual of alignment. This is also a powerful week to filter your inputs. Limit what drains you, especially on social media. Be selective with what you consume. Feed your spirit with what uplifts and inspires. Your mind is the soil of your next season. What you plant today shapes the blessings of tomorrow. And if you're still wondering whether you deserve a fresh start, know this: you don't need anyone's permission to begin again. You just need to believe that your next step doesn't have to come from punishment, it can come from peace. So ask yourself gently, if I could begin again in one area of my life, not out of shame, but out of love, what would I choose? Name it. Write it down. Speak it aloud. This is how you activate your rebirth. You're not stuck, Libra. You're just waking up. And the more softly you choose to see yourself, the more clearly the path ahead will appear. Not everything that's true feels easy to face. And when the moon appears alongside the lovers, it often signals a quiet truth beginning to surface, one that's been tucked beneath unspoken words, lingering glances, or subtle shifts in energy between you and someone you care about deeply. Sometimes, it's not about uncovering a lie or betrayal. Sometimes, it's about recognizing a truth you've sensed all along. A truth that maybe you weren't ready to say out loud. And yet, this moment is asking for something tender but brave: honesty. With yourself, first, and then, perhaps, with another. Libra, you are ruled by Venus, the planet of connection, of beauty, of emotional harmony. But that same deep desire for closeness can sometimes lead you to overlook your own intuition in favor of keeping the peace. And when your heart feels something is off, when something doesn't align, it speaks. Not with drama, but with a soft restlessness. A quiet knowing. That knowing is not paranoia. It's not overthinking. It's your internal compass trying to guide you toward clarity. This is not about making a sudden decision. It's about learning how to trust your inner voice again. The Moon card doesn't always represent deception. More often, it points to confusion, illusion, and emotional fog. Something isn't fully clear, not because someone is hiding it maliciously, but because not all truths feel ready to be spoken. Still, the energy of the moment is shifting. Something hidden is preparing to rise. You might sense it through a dream, a comment that lands strangely, or even just a gut feeling that something's been left unsaid. You may not have the full picture yet, but your body often knows before your mind can explain it. This is why stillness matters now. Just 5 minutes a day of quiet reflection, eyes closed, music soft, hands over your heart, can help you reconnect to your emotional clarity. You don't need to figure everything out at once. But you do need to stop dismissing what your heart already knows. There is strength in acknowledging that something needs to shift, even if you don't yet know how. One of the gentlest tools you can use right now is the letter you'll never send. Sit with your feelings, and let yourself write. No filter, no edits. Say what you've been holding in. Speak directly to the person, or the version of yourself who accepted too little, waited too long, or stayed too quiet. Let the words pour out, not to confront, but to clear. To unstick the emotions that have been stuck inside you. Sometimes the act of naming our truth on paper is enough to create space for healing, even if no one else ever reads it. And remember, truth is never your enemy. It's your guide. It might sting in the short term. It might shift how you see someone or how you show up in a relationship. But it's the only thing that leads to true connection. Without it, love becomes performance. With it, love becomes freedom. God does not ask us to pretend everything is fine. He invites us to walk in truth, even if that truth is messy, even if it disrupts what we thought we wanted. Because only through truth can we build something real. So, if your heart has been whispering something lately, if you felt an inner nudge, but you've been waiting for proof before you act, take this moment as confirmation. You're not imagining it. You're intuitively sensing it. And even if the pieces aren't all clear yet, your inner clarity is still valid. Comment below if this resonates. Have you ever just known something in your heart before you had words or facts to back it up? You're not alone. This is how inner wisdom speaks. And this is how transformation begins. When you begin to notice the colors that call to you and the numbers that keep reappearing in your life, it's not just aesthetic or coincidence, it's energetic. Everything in the universe carries vibration, and your soul is constantly interacting with those frequencies, even when your conscious mind isn't fully aware. Right now, Libra, the energetic language surrounding you is soft, grounding, and deeply affirming. You are being invited into a period of emotional recalibration. Not because you're broken or off course, but because the version of you that's emerging needs a different kind of nourishment. Blush pink, for example, is more than just a pretty hue. It resonates with the heart chakra, the center of love, forgiveness, and emotional healing. If you've been feeling tender, sensitive, or a bit emotionally raw lately, this color is your ally. It gently soothes without demanding attention. It whispers to your nervous system that it's okay to rest. It reminds you that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's openness. Allow yourself to surround your space, your clothing, or your daily rituals with this color. Use it as a silent declaration that your healing matters. Then there's pale olive green, subtle yet quietly powerful. This color speaks to mental balance, clarity, and intuitive harmony. If your thoughts have been racing or you've felt pulled in too many directions, olive green offers a calm center. It encourages you to think with discernment, not fear. It harmonizes your mental chatter with your gut instincts. And for someone like you, who often weighs every angle before choosing. This color can be the bridge between logic and inner knowing. The numbers that have been showing up lately aren't random either. The repetition of 222 is one of the most universal signs of divine guidance and gentle alignment. It doesn't demand urgency. It simply asks you to trust. You're not being rushed into a decision. You're being shown that clarity comes from stillness. If you've been tempted to act quickly just to escape discomfort, this is your reminder: pause. Wait for the answer that feels grounded, not pressured. You're not behind. You're being prepared. The additional numbers 6, 22, and 24 offer more nuance. The number 6 is the vibration of love, home, and emotional care. It's the gentle nudge to tend to what's closest to your heart. What have you been neglecting emotionally? What feels out of balance in your relationships or your connection with yourself? The number 22 is a master builder, reminding you that every small emotional shift you make now is laying a foundation for your future. And 24? It speaks of harmony in the mundane. It's the sign that peace isn't only found in grand revelations, it's built in the quiet choices you make each day. These energies are working together to support your growth, not by pushing you forward, but by inviting you deeper. Into your softness. Into your clarity. Into your worth. One of the most powerful practices you can adopt this week is writing this affirmation every morning: I allow myself to be loved, to receive, and to live in alignment with who I truly am. Not who you were told to be. Not who others expect you to be. But who you know yourself to be in your quietest, most honest moments. There's something sacred about this stage you're in. You don't need to force a breakthrough. You don't need to fix anything. You're not here to hustle your healing, you're here to honor it. Every time you notice a repeating number, every time a soft color makes you pause, take it as a gentle nudge from the universe that you're already on the right path. Stay present. Stay open. And trust that what's meant for you is unfolding, even if it's happening more quietly than you expected. If you're still here with me now, Libra, I know it's because your heart is quietly reaching for something deeper. And maybe, just maybe, you're starting to remember something you've always known, but forgot somewhere along the way. You don't need to chase validation to be worthy. You don't need to overextend yourself just to be seen. You are already enough, exactly as you are. The balance you seek was never about keeping everything around you calm. It's always been about returning to your center, to the version of you that feels whole even when things outside of you feel unfinished. True balance, dear Libra, is not the absence of conflict. It's the presence of clarity. And clarity only comes when you stop asking, what do they want from me, and start asking, what do I truly need? You are allowed to shift. To reassess. To say, this used to work for me, but it doesn't anymore. That's not instability, it's growth. The kind of sacred growth that happens when you decide to stop sacrificing your peace just to maintain appearances. So this is your invitation. To forgive yourself for the times you didn't know better. To hold yourself gently for the times you stayed silent when you wanted to speak. And to move forward, not because you're angry, but because you finally understand what your heart needs to feel safe, seen, and heard. It's okay to let go of old roles, old stories, old versions of yourself that kept you playing small. You are not here to live a life of quiet compromise. You are here to live fully, love truthfully, and align courageously. What's one choice you can make this week that brings you closer to your own balance? Not what others expect, not what seems polite, but what feels true. I'd love for you to share in the comments, whether it's a boundary you've set, a truth you've spoken, or even a moment of pause you've gifted yourself. Let this be your space of reflection and permission. And from the deepest place in my heart, thank you. Thank you for being here, for sharing your energy, for choosing to walk this path of self-awareness and emotional alignment. Every like, every comment, every subscription you offer helps keep this space alive, a place where souls like yours are seen, heard, and celebrated. If this message resonated with you, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with someone who might need this gentle reminder too. Before we part, I'd love to leave you with one final thought. You don't have to choose between loving others and loving yourself. You were never meant to abandon your own needs to keep the peace. In fact, the more you honor your own truth, the more peaceful your relationships become, because they're built on honesty, not obligation. So today, pick one word that feels like medicine for your soul. Is it harmony? Grace? Gratitude? Clarity? Whatever speaks to you, comment it below to claim it, and let the universe know you're ready to live in alignment with it. Balance is not about being still, it's about knowing when to move. And Libra, I believe with all my heart, your next move is the one that brings you home to yourself.